boys. Fall 2024 anime season has almost concluded, and as No Nut November has finally come to an end, I can confidently say that Murder Mystery of the Dead wasn't the reason that we failed. This fall has been a total blast, with some of the most anticipated series all year returning to grace us with their presence. We have good takes, trash takes, hot takes, and ReZero dick writing incoming, so plug in your earbuds, shut the door, and turn off the lights, cause this is about to get really messy. Boner in Another World isn't about a loner in another world, as the title might have indicated, but instead it's that 100 Girlfriends anime, just in an isekai setting where the jokes aren't funny and the girls aren't as hot. The show's main purpose isn't about defeating the Demon King, Demon Queen, hero, or Twitch streamer, but instead the MC's main struggle is not getting trampled on by the hundreds of girls constantly chasing him. I love how the author is always trying to convince us that the MC doesn't like how there's 600 girls always trying to suck his dick. Anyways, if you didn't already notice, this is a can't recommend tier anime, since it does absolutely nothing new and the story and dialogue feel like it was written by a 12-year-old. Danmachi Season 4 followed Bell and his familia down a brutal descent into the depths of the Ororio dungeon. Season 5, we have a new and action-packed arc that mainly focuses on our hero Bell as he struggles to protect his virginity from a very horny goddess. So as we all know from Season 1, Sir is definitely not Freya, and the anime does not try to confuse this in as many ways as possible to who may or may not be the goddess of beauty at any given time. For instance, this is Freya, and this is another character named Horn. Freya, Horn. Freya, Horn. You seeing it now? I swear, this made literally no sense until somebody showed me a diagram. Basically, Freya had been trying to groom Belle all this time in the persona of Sir, and when that didn't work, she brainwashed the entire city, invited Belle into her room, and is like, "What, you don't remember? We've always been sleeping together." Might I remind you, Sir was supposedly 18. Belle is 14. Freya, who is also Sir at least half the time, has definitely a major age gap. I'd tell Belle to get off Discord, but I won't lie, if I was in that situation, I'd probably fold immediately. Anyways, I hate and love this arc. It's both extremely well written and also very frustrating at times. But nonetheless, S tier is where I'd put this anime. What would a tier list video be without multiple incredibly out-of-touch takes? Meet Blue Box, a show that I was sincerely looking forward to, as the manga readers had been posting a bajillion Reddit threads praising the source material for its quality and depth, and the level of animation shown in the trailers definitely got my hopes up. Unfortunately for you, I have an opinion, so let's get straight into it. This anime didn't do anything particularly wrong, it just wasn't as good as your friend said it was, and to be honest, the story kinda switches from a sports anime to a drama slice of life pretty abruptly, and at least to me, it was mixed together about as well as an anime convention and body cologne. The characters felt pretty generic, with the usual best girl whose only purpose in the story is to divide the fan base and lose, but the worst crime this anime committed is quite simply the MC. His crush will be in the same house as him, and he's busy hiding behind the door like, "There's a human of the opposite gender in my house. Oh no, she said hi. I'm basically having a heart attack. Wait, she's in the room next to mine?
I'm gonna come.
かわいい。
あなたがね。
The main heroine shows him any sort of basic etiquette, such as a greeting or simply looking in his direction, and suddenly he thinks that she might be confessing her feelings. Then, at some point, he suddenly gives up on her and is like, "Well, she'd probably never like me anyways, cause I'm not a main character." Hate to break your bubble, but she's actually imagining him kissing Kengo right now. All in all, this isn't a terrible show. It was simply overhyped, leading to me feeling disappointed. Let me just put it this way. If you relate with the main character, you probably watch Pokimane. I'm gonna put it in B tier because that's about where I enjoyed it, but I'm sure a lot of you would argue down in the comments it should go into A tier. The animation is S tier though, and like Days with My Stepsister from last season, a lot of people still really love this anime, so obviously if you disagree, feel free to scream and yell at me in the comments down below. Watching Dandadan reminded me of a time back in kindergarten when I sampled a few of the nearby park's homegrown mushroom patches. This anime somehow manages to make me feel both excited and extremely uncomfortable simultaneously. One minute they'll be having an intense fight scene, and the next the MC is sucking an old granny's teeth. Like, what the frick? I'd love to know what the director of Science Zero was smoking when he organized some of these shots, but on top of being absolutely batshit crazy, this anime still manages to have some pretty hard-hitting emotional moments amidst the snorting. Episode 7 was a straight-up masterpiece, and is what solidified this show as one of the best animes of this entire year. The characters are a lot of fun, and as a big fan of slice of life, their dynamic is honestly the biggest thing that kept me coming back each week. To summarize, two high schoolers, Okurun and Ayase, tried to prove to each other that ghosts and aliens do or don't exist, and in the process, Ayase gets molested and gains telekinetic powers, and Okurun's balls get stolen and possessed by a ghost granny, who later turns him into a depressed Batman villain. Later, this other chick picks up one of his balls and starts experiencing abnormalities, and so the search for the missing testicles continues. I'm sorry guys, I tried and I think I just turned people off. Regardless, if you can get over all the weird shit the author throws at you, this anime is an easy S tier. Orb. On the Movements of the Earth. An anime so unique that countless videos have been flooding my feed, explaining in detail why this is a true hidden gem among gems. A show praised to be even greater than the likes of Dandadan. Now when I heard this, I was like,
You sure about that? You sure about that?
So obviously I was skeptical to say the least. Orb is an interesting anime, unlike anything I have ever seen before. The story more or less goes as follows. It's Poland in the Middle Ages, and people are hiding in their homes hoping that the Inquisition doesn't catch them staring at the sky too hard, or they will be executed. One particularly smart kid by the name of Raphael, who gets blackmailed by a heretic who wants him to stare at the sky for him while he researches the movements of the Earth. Get it? The title? The MC, who generally doesn't take candy from strangers, isn't convinced that the Earth could possibly move around the sun until one night he doodles in his room for a bit, and at some point the theory just works all of a sudden. From then on, he continues to research the theory that the Earth moves around the sun, while constantly fearing that someone could potentially turn him in if he is found out. What I find funny about this show is when the so-called heretics try to convince him of heliocentrism, the MC replies with, but if I were to believe you, I won't be able to go to heaven. And the heretic responds with, get this, but what if heaven doesn't exist? Oh, I'm convinced. Another thing that confused me was the reason they kept bringing up for why anyone would risk their life to figure out if the Earth rolled like a marble or not. Well, you know how the old model of the rotation of the planets kind of looks like a flower? Well, you see, flowers are too complicated to be beautiful. So therefore, it's not beautiful unless the planets move in the same shape as my balls. Sponsored by Manscaped. Did I mention the fact that you're taking a 12-year-old boy out every night and no one bats an eye? Nah, I don't see a problem. Okay, but seriously, this anime has really good direction. But still one of those shows that if you think too hard, a lot of things they say kind of fall apart. Oh, and the Inquisition is definitely the best character in this show by a long shot. Gonna give this a reluctant A. To call Uzumaki the greatest fall-off of the year is quite frankly an understatement. Of course, Blue Lock is giving it a run for its money, but there is still a clear winner. This is a horror anime. Not because of the tag, but because 3 out of the 4 episodes made me question if I was reading a manga or my computer was crashing. Apparently, the studio got screwed over after episode 1 had finished in production, so they either had the option of canceling it entirely and taking a total loss, or finishing the last 3 episodes with absolutely no quality or time to do so, and just hope they make a few dollars back. Poor Junji Ito. He can never catch a win when it comes to any of his mangas getting an adaptation. D tier. Unwatchable. Bleach is obviously D tier. I mean, how can you look at this and not think of a carrot in a kimono? I'm kidding, guys. Calm down. Gosh. The point of that random unfunny joke was to ensure you won't be disappointed when I tell you I've never once seen a single episode of Bleach, Dragon Ball, or Blue Exorcist, unless you count the abridged series as part of the experience.
This is some red pill, blue pill stuff.
Anyways, probably S tier, but y'all in the comments will probably have to fill in for that one. Let This Gooning Soul Retire is a top tier ecchi anime with a plot that will have your mind blown and even a story to go along with it. This show primarily focuses on the personality of its characters, and I can confirm that this anime is a lot more intense if you watch it on a 4K monitor. However the plot is concerned, it mainly revolves around Cray, the head of the most powerful guild in the city. Unbeknownst to the general populace, the MC actually sucks and isn't that strong at all. Yet everyone in this world, including his own party, has gaslit themselves into believing he is extremely powerful, and after a while of trying to prove them wrong and not succeeding, he eventually calls it a day and is determined to play along with it. The story doesn't actually matter, but the dialogue made me laugh a lot, and the characters are great to look at, so so all things considered, I'd give it a low A tier. Ranma 1.5 is a remake of a classic gag humor comedy show with a fan base that is adamant that you go watch the 1989 version because, get this, there are about 10 times more bath scenes apparently. Now I want to make it clear. This is a significant debuff, but there was never a time when I felt the story was lacking in cleavage. Anyways, for all those uncultured swine who don't know, it's about this dude named Ranma who can turn into a girl when doused with liquid, and his fiancée who hates men unless there's an age gap of at least 15 years. Look, it's a comedy slice of life, so don't watch this expecting anything to make sense, but it did manage to make me laugh, so hey, it did what it set out to do, so solid A tier. Oh, I should probably mention that there are some health risks associated to watching this anime. According to a man of great study, Ranma makes you both bi and trans at the same time. So with this logic in mind, watching High School DxD should have made me pregnant. My wife is an elementary student. Now I know what you may be thinking, but just let me explain myself. The title is obviously bait, and if you're one of those Twitter users screaming Dr. Disrespect us here, just calm down, okay? This has the same sort of misunderstanding as the whole Higehiro situation. The title is in fact factually correct, but at the same time extremely misleading. Basically, this dude's wife died in a car accident, and 10 years later, him and his daughter still haven't been able to move on past this loss. Then, as the title suggests, an elementary student appears at their doorstep, claiming to be the reincarnation of his dead wife. This anime is surprisingly heavy. The whole situation is treated as a miracle, and something that won't be here for long. It's a story about having a second chance to say the things you wanted to say to a loved one who has passed, and the strange twist actually adds a lot to the story's depth. It's written quite well, and it was interesting to see the story also touch on the reincarnated mother, now living in a fatherless home with an abusive parent. There are definitely moments in this show that can be difficult to watch due to their subject matter, but I think this attests to the fact that the author doesn't shy away from difficult topics. Pretty solid show, but maybe not for everyone. A tier. Kimi wa Meido-sama is a wholesome anime about a boy who randomly one day opens the door to find your forger looking for hire after Lloyd finally dumped her. This is the classic kudere experiences emotions for the first time, and I won't lie, I kinda fuck with this trope. There are a few action scenes here and there, but I mainly watch for the diabetic moments and the it should have been me's, so don't expect anything too insane. If you like cozy shows about people experiencing new things with a teeny bit of action to go alongside it, I definitely suggest checking this one out. Even though I did enjoy this anime like it was an A, I'm 100% biased when it comes to kuderes, and I think objectively it's on the weaker side of the tier list. High B tier. Demon Lord 2099 is a show about the general state of live streaming in Cyberpunk 2077. Apparently, OBS is still a thing. Back in the Middle Ages, the main character used to be the Demon Lord who was eventually defeated by the hero 500 years prior. After being resurrected, he has to quickly adapt to a world where magic has become outdated, as society has created a device that can activate spells much faster than he can. For some confusing reason, he alone can't use these machines, and is forced to find a regular job. But after witnessing a hacker play some not-so-safe-for-work material in Times Square, he decides that streaming might actually be up his alley. This show was quite simply just fun. The character interactions were unique, and I'm personally a big fan of the futuristic setting. If you stick around for a few episodes, the plot will slowly start to kick in, and I found it actually pretty creative, so definitely don't sleep on this one. A tier. Mechanical Arms was my hidden gem of this season. The action sequences were insane, the character designs are colorful and vibrant, and the story is a fun throwback to the 2000s. The anime tries to avoid as many annoying tropes and generic story beats with a sort of no bullshit mentality. 8 years of production really seemed to have paid off, and I found myself unable to skip the opening and ending theme songs as they were just too good to miss. Basically, one day the MC comes across an alien in an empty alleyway who attaches itself to his jacket and then attempts to piss off as it becomes apparent that multiple organizations are after it. The MC ends up joining forces with ARMS, the only seemingly good organization, as they try to uncover the reason for the alien's apparent capture. This might not seem all that new of a plot, but trust me, the execution is pretty much flawless. I'm bestowing the prestigious title of certified good shit onto this anime. Definitely an S tier. Shangri-La Season 2 started airing alongside aside everything else this fall, and yet I've heard absolutely no one acknowledge its existence. Which is strange to me because this season was one of my favorites, and every week when Sunday rolled around, my ass cheeks would clench at just the mere thought of a new episode airing. This anime somehow captures the exhilarating feeling of when you fire up a new game for the first time, and allows you, along with the MC, to go into the world and story completely blind. Every time the main character abuses an in-game mechanic or discovers a new area, my filthy gamer brain went, oh, I know what he's doing. I've done that. There is just enough comedic banter, world building, and explosions to satisfy everyone. And if you haven't started season 1 yet, there is no better time than now to pick this show up. Just don't let the bird mask turn you off. S tier. Well, we finally made it. ReZero is back, and it seriously couldn't have come fast enough. This season was gory, intense, explosive, and even bigger than the previous arcs. After what felt like decades in the Sanctuary, Subaru and his newly assembled Avengers head to the nearby Water City in hopes of getting their hands on a crystal that can revive Puck. Barely a day passes by before half of the witch cult arrives and starts murdering people. In the meantime, Beatrice gets retired, and Subaru, along with the rest of the royal selection, devise a counterattack against the multiple Sin Archbishops. In regular ReZero fashion, every episode when you think things can't get any worse, they do. And then again, and again, and again, until you realize that Subaru still hasn't returned by death yet, and is now stuck in this timeline. So yeah, welcome to suffering. Now on to some of the highlights of this season. Capella. Capella with wings. Hot Amelia. Even hotter Amelia. Subaru and Krush are getting married. Krush got crushed by Capella, and All is best girl. Oh yeah, and Felis is still a dude. The one thing that absolutely pissed me off about this season was how Amelia doesn't have the slightest inkling of any sense of danger. Greed will march his beautiful ass in on her naked, demanding to know if she is still a virgin, and after finally shutting up and leaving her to her own devices, Amelia peers out the window to see the entire city below burning and flooding at the same time. She then responds in the way that any sane person would in that type of situation. I've been kidnapped by a Sin Archbishop. Neat. Like, gosh darn it, people are dying, and you're sitting on your ass debating why couples should love each other. Sorry, that was a random rant that I'm gonna get a lot of shit for. Anyways, I strongly suggest watching this arc, as there are very few animes out there that are this intense. So if you've never seen ReZero, or dropped it because of the Rem incident, holy crap, pick this shit back up for Pete's sake. Anyways, Core 2 is airing in February, and hopefully Arc 6 will follow soon after. So yes, God tier all the way. And that there is my fall 2024 anime tier list, guys. As per the usual, I didn't have time to talk about every single anime that aired this season, and this is purely because you and I both have a horrible attention span. So if I missed any animes that are near and dear to your heart, just comment them down below with the title, and I'll make sure not to read it or respond. But until next video, stay safe and no incest.
Gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and repel any hate, go create what you want, feel compelled, yeah. And once you finally get a taste of the race, you'll never look back once you felt that. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first.